Hi, thank you for joining us in Devotionables, brief devotions for busy people. I'm Michael Knight. I'm one of the discipleship interns at 9th and O. And I just want to thank you for joining us in the continuation of Mark. Today we're going to be in chapter 8, verses 27 through 30. And as I was reflecting on this passage, I was thinking about legacy, life's most important question. What will that be? What would be the question that we feel like is one to be the most difficult questions we ever answer? And the most important. If you ask a teenager, it might be about navigating high school, what girlfriend they're going to have, ultimately what college. And if you ask a more seasoned adult, they might have it about their kids, about who they love, their career, how well they did. And in the wisdom of our senior adults, they would reflect on time is precious. And they would think about how we spend our time. And so those are all great questions. But I think they all fall short of the most important question. And that is, who is the Christ? Who is Jesus? And that's what we're going to run into today. So if you will pick up in chapter 8, verse 27 of Mark. And Jesus went on with his disciples to the villages of Caesarea Philippi. And on the way he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that I am?" And he told them, "John the Baptist, and others say Elijah, and others one of the prophets." And he asked them, "But who do you say that I am?" And Peter answered him, "You are the Christ." And he strictly charged them to tell no one about him. And I think it's interesting to note that Matthew adds not only "you are the Christ," but he adds the Son of the living God. And so it's interesting when you think about Caesarea Philippi, to set a scene. They're in there. It's still to this day, there's a wall of where it's carved out with where these old idols would have been for pagan worship. And so there's no doubt that the disciples and Jesus would have certainly known about all of these paganistic cultures that were there. And so when he's asking, "Who do people say that I am?" And then ultimately, "Who do you say that I am?" He wants them to understand that he is not just another idol to be put onto a wall, but he is the Christ. And so I think that's a huge understanding difference between where we get into the historical Jesus and the biblical Jesus. There are plenty of people in this world who will call Jesus by name, but it doesn't necessarily measure up with the Bible. And so it really matters who Jesus is. And we'll see that in Peter's legacy as he goes on in Acts 4. He's arrested, and he's ultimately going to, in his defense, he's going to give a sermon and charge those with hearing this sermon with this command, and that is, "For there is salvation in no one else. For there is no other name under heaven that has been given among men by which we must be saved." And so Peter's legacy was left that with not only death and the truth, but he was willing to die for the Christ, for the one, because he felt like that was the most important question. And so as we get to an application here, when we think about evangelism and why all this matters, well, who we say Jesus is matters. What we tell others about Jesus matters. And how we live in accordance with whom Jesus is matters. And so the question is going to be, at the end of your life, how do you want your legacy? Do you want to be known as the person who Christ knew and whom you also knew, and that others knew you by your love for Christ? Or is it just going to be that you had a good life, a good legacy on this earth, and that was the end? And I think that's an important question that we all must answer. Who is the Christ? And so as you proceed through your week, I just pray that you have a blessed week and a blessed day. Thank you so much.